Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about the astrology for the day and also for the weekend. Happy Fri-YAY, everybody. And as we're looking at the weekend, we'll have several pieces of information to help you get through the weekend in a good way. The moon, we start off the weekend today with the moon moving out of Libra, where it's been for the last few days, and into the sign of Scorpio, a completely different energy. And it sets us up for a complete different experience as we move on into the weekend. So welcome everybody to Living Astrology. It's great to see you all. And I got my nice new little cup this morning. Feels good to drink out of something new. I don't know what it is about new cups. I just like new cups. So how's everybody doing out there? I see Debbie Tibbetts-Tumiel, good morning, and Elisa and Michelle Gay and Marissa and Tom. Wow, Tom, you're up early. Jan Landry, good morning to you as well. And Michelle says, good snowy morning. Indeed, I was quite shocked this morning to wake up. My door is closing all on its own. I was quite surprised to wake up this morning to another few inches of snow. I thought we were done. My husband thought he was done. He took the chains off the car, and now we're snowed in again. Yay, the weather's been crazy. So it's okay though, because it's beautiful, and I took some really pretty pictures this morning. You could see the moon. It's just gorgeous. So I posted those up again from snowy Northwest Washington. And Michelle lives up higher than me, and her front yard looked equally as beautiful this morning, probably with a little bit more snow than we actually had here on the water. And what's really funny is that the water must be warmer than the air around it because it's covered. It's like there's this fog, ice fog or something hovering over the top of the water. It's really interesting to watch. Okay, so this morning we find ourselves in the void of course moon, where it moved in at 4:59 a.m. this morning my time into that void space before it moves into another sign. It will be in the void until 10:21 a.m. my time. So what is that, about 1:21 p.m. for you all on the East Coast. And then it will move out of Libra and into the sign of Scorpio. Yay for us. And that puts it in a square to the sun today, to the planet Mercury today, and in an opposition later in the day to the planet Uranus in Taurus, and then also in a trine to Venus in Pisces. So the moon is making some crazy different connections today. And that moon, when it squares the sun, brings us to a point in the moon cycle that we call the crisis of action. No, this one is the crisis of consciousness. Excuse me. The crisis of action happens between the new and the full, and between the full and the new comes the crisis of consciousness. And this is a point in time where we have to shift things on the inner planes in order to complete our manifesting or our intentions for what it is that we wanted to accomplish in this new moon period. So you might be coming up against thoughts or old patterns that are caught up in your unconscious mind that are always stopping you seemingly from being able to move forward. Like maybe you only get so far and then boom, you hit some kind of a brick wall. Well, at one end of the spectrum, when it's the crisis of action, we see that it's literally a physical something manifesting in the outer world. But at this point in the cycle, it's mostly something on the inner planes that is creating that kind of stumbling block or that kind of resistance within us to moving forward. So we're grappling a bit with that today. And then as we get into the later part of the day with the opposition to the planet Uranus, then we may find sudden ahas or sudden awakening that help us move through that more seamlessly. And with the trine to Venus in Pisces, remember Venus in Pisces has been creating imagination and compassion and sort of more creative energy around. So the moon might be able to help us become more creative as the day wears on. So then we have Scorpio moon. What does it mean when the moon moves into Scorpio? Well, the number one thing is to understand that Scorpio is a water sign. And as such, then it is about our emotions. And it is very much a powerful sign for the moon to be in. And it may even trigger power struggles as we move through our day, today, tomorrow, and even a good chunk of Sunday while the moon stays in the sign of Scorpio. So we, at some point here, may tap into some type of hidden agendas, whether it's our own hidden agenda or someone else's hidden agenda. But it is almost that we can see through things into the deeper levels of something rather than just the superficial top of something. We're able to see deep. And we may even find in some cases that we have to do a check of our own personal ambition. What is it that's truly driving you to do something or to be something? And is it in alignment with your values? Does it make sense for you? And does it trigger an emotional reaction within you? And are those emotions supportive of what it is that you want to do? Or are they undermining the whole idea or the whole ambition or the goal? So we're looking at emotional strength here. We're looking at the hidden agenda, the things that lie hidden in the patterns or in the unconscious mind. And it also triggers our ability to persevere even in the face of obstacles or the resistance that we're meeting in the world. So Scorpio energy, very perseverant energy. It has the power to endure. It stays the course. Now, it's also the energy of change and transformation. That is the higher level of Scorpio energy. The power struggles kind of bring us to that Scorpion kind of passive-aggressive tendency. But when we move through to the level, at least of the Eagle, we see the power of transformation and forgiveness and the ability to transmute toxic emotions or toxic situations in our lives by releasing the things that are no longer serving us. And even if that is a relationship or if that is an emotion. So a lot of releasing, forgiveness, and transmuting energy for the next few days as the moon moves through deeper into the sign of Scorpio. Merging energy also comes through the Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio, and the 8th house in an astrology chart. This is the energy of sex and bonding and psychic entanglements, dealing with the hidden or with the more occult, let's say, energies. And it is also about joint finances. So we have the way that we bring things together and the way that we can see the deeper energies that are associated with the way that we come together with one another. There are a few things, of course, that you have to watch out for with Scorpio energy. One, of course, is the energy of revenge or resentment that can just be seething right underneath the surface, and it can bubble up at times and become a passive-aggressive sort of way of expressing out in the world. And also then we must watch out for jealousy and possessiveness and rage energy. Remember, Mars and Pluto co-rule the sign of Scorpio. Mars brings up that action warrior energy, the anger energy, and Pluto, of course, can sometimes play the role of the power struggler, or it can also play the role of the transformer. And paranoia, some people in Scorpio energy end up in the more negative energies of paranoia. So those are the things we want to watch out for. But on the high side, of course, Scorpio energy is highly creative, very passionate, and intensely follows whatever its heart is leading it to. So we have that ability over the next few days as well. Let's see. Questions, comments. Good morning to Linda Crouch Dennis, nice to see you. Camille and Erica Lewis, good morning. And Mimi, thank you for, I didn't even think to touch base with you this morning. I got so crazed. But thank you for being our moderator out there. Asa, good morning. Linda says, makes me glad I'm in sunny Ventura. I think hopefully this is the end of it for a while, and maybe we'll be on the upswing into rain, wind, the usual. We do get snow, so it's not unusual, but our area is totally not ready for this. I think maybe we have one snowplow in the whole county for Skagit, where I live, and it means it never gets out to where I live because I'm out in the boonies. So it does the main streets, but getting to the main streets is the problem. Yesterday, it took my husband almost 90 minutes to get from here to his work, which is only about 15 miles away. So craziness. Dusa, good morning. And Marissa says, Void, of course, explains so much regarding my lack of motivation this morning. Thank goodness. Yeah, lack of motivation. No, this morning, let's see, it started actually yesterday where every little thing just seemed to irritate me. And I'm not doing any better this morning as I couldn't get my mascara on. My hair has been through about 15 different styles this morning. So I almost ran out of time to come on here live this morning. And so little irritations can turn into big irritations very quickly. So we want to watch and make sure that we're not taking that out on other people, because it's so easy right now with these we're kind of like on the last nerve. And the outer world, of course, isn't helping any, right? Because the outer world is showing us so much chaos and so many trials and tribulations that it makes it hard for us to, stay out of that energy. Coming back into our own energy doesn't feel necessarily really good because we're struggling there as well. So, these next couple days, just be really good to yourself, right? If you don't feel the need to push into something, then don't. Relax. Enjoy the weekend. This too shall pass, as it always does. Natasha, good morning. And Erica Lewis says good morning. And Marissa says, I felt the same yesterday evening. Well, it would have been your evening because it was my late afternoon. As I'm sitting on the phone with an insurance company, the last thing I want to do, right, is deal with an insurance company and being shoved from one person to another and then getting disconnected and having to recall into the same number again and go through the whole, oh my God. Anyway, but that was yesterday. Today's a better day, let's say. Now, from the Pleiadian, today, the Pleiadian energy takes us to 13 listening. So we're at the last day of the week. The energy of 13 is our number for ascension and integration and completion of a cycle. It puts us squarely in the territory of preparing for a new cycle. And the energy of listening is so interesting because it's like it's a night sign. In fact, in the Mayan calendar, it is the sign of Akbal, which really represented the night, the dark, right? The parts that we don't see clearly. So the Akbal days or the listening days bring up trouble in the world. We may see it more profoundly. There may be those undertones, those hidden things that are popping up to the surface. Do you kind of see the parallel to the moon and Scorpio kind of energy going on today? Secrets being revealed. There was sort of a bombshell interview the night before last with one of the participants that in the whole mess here in the U.S. that brought on impeachment articles of impeachment for Trump. And some of the things revealed in that interview were just crazy. So secrets being revealed, not only in our outer worlds, but also maybe in your own personal life. But those secrets being revealed lead us to insights. And those insights lead us to a new understanding. So it has a purpose. It's not about exposing your secret places or the secrets that you're holding. It's about bringing it to a new understanding, sort of a new level. Now, this is a time then, this day in particular, to slow down and to be able to find a way to reconnect to the universe, to be in silence, right? This is an energy of quiet, right? Quiet is the night where we can integrate things that we've been learning, the experiences that we've been having, and we can hear listening energy to the inner voice of what comes next, right? So hearing what comes next calls to us out of the stillness, not out of the noise. So from the stillness, we can see the next steps, and then we can act from a higher integrity and from a place of our higher values, and not from those lower, more passive aggressive energies that are also in the field. Today's a day where we want to be careful to not be criticizing or judgmental, right? That stay out of that energy. That is not a good thing. That's like that scorpion stinger coming in. Seek to be patient today in order to hear from your heart and not just from the mind, which of course the mind is a powerful tool for good or for ill. Just depends on how it gets expressed out there. Now, tomorrow, Saturday, is in the Pleiadian energy, a 1 day. If we close out a cycle today, that means tomorrow we open into a new cycle. So tomorrow is a new beginning or an initiating energy. And it's also the energy of planting. The earth energy of the day tomorrow is Kan in the Mayan calendar, which represented the seed, and the seed that holds all potential. And you put it in the ground, and once you water it and nurture it, it starts to sprout and grow into something. So tomorrow's a day for planting, for seeding the new, while today is a day for completion and bringing things into fruition. And it's sort of a little bit, it feels a little bit out of sync with the moon cycle that we're in, as we're, between the full moon and the new moon, we're in that last quarter moon. So it still feels like there's maybe not a whole lot of energy for taking action on something new, but planting is a little, you have the energy that's actionable of putting the seed in the soil and covering it up and watering. And then you have to walk away for a while, right? So it's not like the seeds are popping up through the surface yet. This is just the energy of the beginning of something and initiating something. So it doesn't mean it's in full bloom. It doesn't mean that it's even come up out of the soil yet. It's just the planting of something. Now tomorrow also, the moon staying in the sign of Scorpio. I didn't look to see if there were other connections the moon was making tomorrow, because I was more interested in Pallas Athena. Tomorrow, the moon is in a sextile to Jupiter and a trine to Neptune. So there might be some energies that are mitigating the more powerful, intense energies of Scorpio. There may be some lightening of the energies with Jupiter and Neptune involved. Mercury squares Uranus tomorrow as well. That is usually a time of those striking new ideas. New things occur to you. But it also can be a time where you run off at the mouth and you say things that you don't mean, or things come out of your mouth in a way that you didn't expect it. The tone of what you're saying comes out instead of the words. So we want to be careful tomorrow in terms of how we communicate. And there was something else I meant to bring up yesterday, and I totally forgot about it. Is that yesterday, remember, Mercury was moving into the sign of Aquarius, and it's going to stay in Aquarius until February 3rd. But yesterday it was at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Does that degree sound familiar to anybody out there? Yes, it should, because that is the degree at which Saturn and Jupiter will conjunct on the winter solstice next year, or later this year in December. And it starts a new cycle of energy where they come together in air, and not only in air, but in very ingenious, brilliant, humanistic energy. So Mercury giving us a sort of foreshadowing or a foretaste of the way things will go. And so if you just sort of look out at the world and see what are the major news sources, not the same dramas that have been going on, because that's all that Capricorn energy, but what maybe glimpses are we seeing of what's possible, right? Of what might be unique and might be trend setting out there in the world. So begin to do that while we've got a few weeks here until February 3rd, where we'll have Mercury sort of bringing up the potential of what the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction might bring up in a deeper way and a longer lasting way. because that cycle begins a 20-year cycle. Mercury's just there for a few weeks. But remember, Mercury always seems to be that messenger. He sort of is the bell ringer that tells you what's coming next. And if we are really paying attention to the planet and what he's doing and who he's connected with, we can almost have that foreshadowing of what comes next. So sort of tune into what's going on with the planet Mercury. So if you're looking through news stories, look for the ones that are different, that seem to be sort of showing us a new brilliance, a new way of being, the cutting edges, what's out there inventive wise, what's out there through invention, but like through medical breakthroughs and things like that, because that can also show us. Watch out for what new groups are forming. What grassroots movements are you seeing out there? Because they can be gaining steam as we move through the year. And even though you may hear about it now, and then maybe it settles back into obscurity for a while, trust me when I say, as the year wears on, those things will come back and they will become very powerful over the next 20 years. So I like to do that just because it gives us sort of that crystal ball effect, where if we just can, sort of look ahead a bit, and without our filters, right? Without our usual filters that says, nah, that can't happen, or that's bullshit, or what have you, just to be able to look out there and use it as that sort of crystal ball to show us where things are headed. Then we can get an idea of what might be potential as we move forward. Now, there's also going to be possibly the more negative sides of these things about AI, for example, and how there was a story. What did I see about a robot that had human consciousness to it? I mean, that's a little bit scary, right? That's skating the edge of what Aquarian energy can bring us. But it's those kinds of things that are going to be popping up more and more prominently as time goes on. So there's the value there of being able to see what's possible, right? What's new, what's exciting, what's cutting edge, what's trending, as we look ahead right now with Mercury in Aquarius. Let's see. Marissa says, oh, that was the same comment there. David Hilliard, you have a very nice house now. Can we see the couch you have for sale? I didn't think I was going to have to do this today, but let me get something for you, David Hilliard, because this is not a couch sale. There is no couch sale going on, no couch auction. So you are in the wrong place, you've been duped, or you're just being dumb by trying to be here and upsetting what's happening here in this group or community. So you're invited to stay if you have something positive to add. If you're looking for a couch, I suggest you go onto Amazon Marketplace and see if you can find something else. All right. Kristen Page, good morning. And Tom says, sip your coffee. I don't want to sip my coffee because then I'll get whipped cream on my lips and that'll be really dumb looking too. And Crystal Berry, good morning to you. And David says, ha, 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 that's great. I will leave you alone now. Very good. Thank you much. Take care. Have a great weekend. Okay, let's continue on with our movement through the energy this morning. I really want to talk about Pallas Athena, because if you guys remember when we went through the Astrology of 2020 webinar back in December, we did, I had a slide up about how some of the goddesses are playing, the goddess asteroids are playing very major roles as we move through 2020. And it's not like they're necessarily new in the pantheon of planets, but what's new is how they are gaining in strength. And the more of us that begin to talk about them, the more of us that use them in our readings, for example, with others, the more that you as individuals connect with those energies, the stronger we make the divine feminine. And not as a way to overcome the divine masculine, but as a way to balance these energies. And it's really the underpinning of how we are going to be able to heal this world. We can't do it when these energies are out of balance. We can only do it when they're in balance. And the divine feminine has been weak for a very long period of time. And as she brings back her strength, she comes roaring back. We also want to remember that it's not her job to overtake or overcome the masculine energy, but to come into balance with the masculine energy. This has nothing to do with male and female, but just those energies. where the masculine energy is very proactive, it's action oriented, it is protection energy. The divine feminine energy is more receptive energy. It is the energy of the night, where the energy of the masculine is the energy of the day. So the day meaning we have the sun energy in the divine masculine, and in the divine feminine we have the moon energy, and they work together. We can't really, on this planet, there is that duality that exists, right, between the sun and the moon, the dark and the light, and also within us, the expression of the light through the sun or the masculine, and the night energy through the moon and the divine feminine. So it's about bringing these into balance. Now, when we look at some of those planets then that are new in our pantheon, Ceres and Eris and Pallas Athena, Selena, Salacia, we have a lot of them that we are adding in, or at least I'm adding in, and I see other astrologers doing the same thing, adding these new bodies out there so that we can become familiar with how they roll and what are they showing us in our experiences. Well, Pallas Athena really brings up the father-daughter relationship. And we've talked a little bit about this before. And when we're talking Pallas Athena, we're talking a feminine energy, but she's moving into a sign of Capricorn that really represents the need to balance both masculine and feminine. When we think of Capricorn energy, we're thinking of the military, we're thinking of government, we're thinking of institutions, we're thinking of the economy, the institution of the economy, not the money itself, but the institution. We think of discipline, we think of rules, we think of boundaries, and we think of the limitations that we have in order to move forward. We have practical oriented energy. So when we have Pallas Athena, the feminine, moving into that, what we feel is that sort of need for the feminine to gather her forces, right? To gather her wits about her. And as an individual, then you're also, at male or female, you are looking at that relationship that you first got modeled by your father. So if you're a man, you might look to your father in a different way than, say, a woman looks to her father, or a young girl looks to her father. So whatever that image was that was sort of indelibly imprinted on you as a child is how you will first go out into the world and try to make your way. So if you had a strong father figure, then you probably enter into the world, male or female, in a very powerful way. If you had an absent father or absent masculine in your life, you probably enter into the world sort of in hiding or tentatively. So Pallas, who sprung forth from her father's head, fully formed, with all her courage and might and wisdom intact and fully developed, it is our call to pull all of those characteristics toward us and to be able to live from that place. And remember, Pallas Athena, is going to be with Jupiter in Capricorn when Jupiter begins to conjunct Pluto later in the year. So April and through the summertime, we have those three coming together: Pallas Athena, Jupiter, and Pluto. Saturn retrogrades back into that field and then moves forward again across that field. So the team is still together throughout the year. But as we add Pallas to this group, it's not so much the nurturing of Ceres, who's been there now. It's more of the warrior spirit of the feminine coming into play and building up her strength and her might, and coming up to meet the masculine. And you know what I find really interesting about it, and maybe you guys haven't really paid much attention to this, but the energy of Aquarius, as we move into the Aquarian age, is really very androgynous. It's not masculine or feminine. It pretty much has no sex attributed to it. It's really very much androgynous energy, which to me speaks to being that those two energies so in balance that we don't have to call attention to one or the other. They exist in one whole energy, which would be fabulous, I think, on the planet, albeit a little bit disturbing as we start to move in that direction. And I remember once a long time ago, and this is really weird. So if you're new here and you're hearing this for the first time, it's kind of a weird thing that happened to me. But Suzanne Fulmer, good morning to you. We've missed you. So it's great to see you. And yes, there is an God. I thought our trolls were done. I thought they got bored with us, but apparently they're back today. So when I was I think I was 23, I went from California to Arizona in Sedona, Arizona, which if any of you have ever been there, it's the most beautiful, highly energetic place. You can hear it. You can sense it. I mean, it's energy in that place that's very sacred, and it's high frequency energy. And of course, I'd never been there. And I went there for a seminar on past lives. And it was this gentleman named Dick Sutphen. Some of you may have heard of him. He's an older gentleman now, but at the time he was in his prime, and he was teaching us all about how to go into hypnosis to find past lives. Well, in one lifetime, he took us back, and then he took us forward. And in the lifetime where I went forward, it was so fascinating because I couldn't tell if I was male or female, because things had we'd moved so far forward that everything was androgynous. And even though there were other beings with me and other people with me in that experience, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if I was male or female, and I couldn't tell what they were either. And it gave me chills then when I first realized then that at some point in our future, as we move forward evolutionarily, that androgyny becomes more of the thing than having that definition of masculine and feminine. And you almost see it starting up with, the new gender identifications that we have of, someone claiming themselves as a them or a they or them. It's just interesting how you watch these gender identities shifting. And is that a precursor then to what I'd already experienced in that future glimpse of a lifetime where androgyny was the case? So it's just fascinating as we start to look ahead at these things, likely not happening in this particular lifetime for us, but it is a direction that we're moving into and moving toward. Erica says, this month has been brutal. I lost my dad. Oh, my dear, I'm so sorry for you. And I just found out during this broadcast that my uncle died. Oh, my goodness, your dad's brother? I think it makes sense with some of the things going on astrologically, and it really does. There's a lot of souls leaving the planet. And I got to tell you guys something else. If you ever want to check this site out, it's called supertorchritual.com. supertorchritual.com. Now, I have followed this guy for years, like back to 2005 maybe, and he's very intellectual, definitely, and he often is looking at the signs, the symbols, the omens in the things that are happening in the world as a model of prediction as to what comes next. He does an excellent job of it. And he's always very practical in his expression of this. Rarely does he cross into woo-woo. But I've noticed that even he is not mistaking that there's something up on this planet right now in terms of reality shifting, shape shifting. It was interesting to me to see those actual words on his site. And as I was thinking about what we talked about earlier in the week, or maybe it was at the end of last week, where we were being tasked with becoming shape shifters so that we could shift our reality. It shows me that it's not just me that's into that or thinking about that. It's becoming a bigger drumbeat. And so as people pass on, then they are often coming back very quickly as new souls to support this shift on the planet. So while I know we're always sad when we lose loved ones, it's their mission and their purpose to transition at this time, perhaps, because they have a bigger role to play as the future comes into existence. And of course, our idea of the future is linear, but once we cross over, there's no linear time anymore. It's all one. It's all happening in the now. So interesting a way for us to look at why things are happening the way they're happening. But our hearts are with you, Erica, as you express your grief through the natural process of living and dying. Mary, good morning. And Tom says, love, gratitude, commiserations, hugs. Erica, my elder, passed at the end of December. Lots of stuff going on like that. And Colleen, good morning to you. Suzanne says, I have missed all of you too. That makes so much sense. And can you please put that group up on the page? I can do that. You know what? I just realized too, Marissa, the other day when we read the story out of the Wisdom Keepers Oracle deck, I forgot to post the the questions for contemplation. So we're going to add supertorchritual.com. Now I pay a quarterly $13, I think it is, for being a member, so I get deeper content, but there's a lot of content on there for free, so definitely check it out. Okay, so nobody has any questions about Pallas Athena, about what she means in your chart? And if not, that's cool, because we are going to, starting in February, I'm going to do a series of these goddesses. We're going to start probably with Venus, because she's the one that's been around the longest. So we'll do Venus and the moon, and then we'll start treading into the other goddesses that are out there. This is a series I've wanted to do for a long time. Didn't have really the space to be able to do that, but starting in February, we're going to begin to look at these very deeply through webinars on the different goddesses. And Pallas Athena will be one of them. We'll want to take a look at her. And, you know, because a part of the series, a part of looking at the goddess energies or these new planets, is the field in which they were discovered and how that consciousness was sort of imbued into them. And so we want to look at the energy that they arose in, because it gives us an idea of what they represent in the now. So we want to kind of look historically at them, and then mythologically at them, because they were named after goddesses of myth. And what does that show us about what they mean for us today? And then what can we expect as we look forward with those goddess energies? So Camille, she found it. Thank you, Camille. And she's posted that up there, supertorchritual.com. His name is Goro Adachi. And I, like I said, have followed him for years and years. And it's just been recently where I've noticed, wow, the work that he does is really, really powerful. So, okay, now let's talk a little bit about the gene keys and human design for the week. What are we doing time-wise? Okay, I still want to save some time to do some readings for people. The gene keys and human design week begins today with the sun moving into the gate 60. We talked about the gate 60 yesterday, as Mercury was sort of that harbinger of what's to come, and he had already moved into the gate 60, which really in human design looks at resourcefulness. And this was an energy, remember, that I told you that is changing us fundamentally in the genes or in our evolution. And resourcefulness is what this brings up for us. And the lowest expression is limitation. And in the highest expression, it's justice. This is one of these very complex gene keys that we can't really just understand by looking at it superficially. This is one where we really need to take the time and look deeper. We have a repressed expression of this energy on the planet that's about rigid bureaucracies. And I think in some way, some of the political expression here in this country and even in Europe, mostly in England, is about reduction of that bureaucracy and trying to untie the rules and the regulations that the bureaucracies have tied us all up into. The problem with that is that human nature being what it is right now, the people that are released from these kinds of rigid bureaucracies or these rules and regulations take advantage of it and go to the opposite end, right? So they were put into place as protections, let's say. Let's just take the environment, for example, where there were very, very powerful rules put into place to reduce the carbon footprint. And as the Trump administration has begun to allow the EPA to release those, then these corporations who are not responsible will begin to dump more carbon into the air, or at least that is the fear on the planet. But the lesson in all of this is becoming very responsible, to become resourceful, and to all on our own begin to really regulate what's going on from that place of integrity and ethics, not because it's a rule or a law or a regulation. So we're at this sort of balancing point right now where if we release these rules and these laws and these bureaucracies and these rigid things that have held us to certain standards, do we go clear to the opposite end and abuse them, abuse the environment again in this case, and create more issues in adding to global warming or the greenhouse effect, etc.? Or will these corporations take responsibility, us as individuals even take responsibility to become more resourceful? Then on the more rebellious expression is the wasteful and undisciplined approach. So we have, these two expressions, the one, the weaker, that we need the rules in order to keep people on the right track. And on the other side, that if we release the rules, then we have this undisciplined, wasteful element that goes on. So we're right here on the edge of that, right? Where ethics and that moral high ground isn't quite solid yet. So it's a lot to ask to undo the rules and the regulations, because at least in the beginning, we're going to swing back a little bit to the ugliness that there was in regulation before regulations. We saw it with the economy, right? As soon as the banking regulations were released, we again begin to see the very beginnings of the abuses that caused the major economic meltdown back in 2008 happening again. And of course, the astrological landscape is lining up again to be almost the mirror image of what happened in 2008 as we move further into Jupiter's transit of Capricorn. So we'll get to see, if we undid some of those rules and those regulations, are the banks and Wall Street going to self-regulate or not? So we'll see what happens here. But the sun at this particular gate really shines the light on that energy. And can we make that leap out of the rigid bureaucracy to the balance of resourcefulness, the state of being resourceful? We'll see. Now, the Earth is always the trigger for evolution. So the sun and the Earth come together every week in a new sign or a new gate, let's say, or a new gene key, and it triggers some kind of evolution. Well, the Earth is now at the gate 56, and that is a gate called the Storyteller. And it's on the throat center. I did print up a new chart, so here we go. This is a human design chart for the moment. I drew it up this morning, and here's the Earth at the gate 56, and the gate 56 on the throat center, so it's communication. And what is the story that we're telling, right? What is the story? Is it a story of distraction? Do we get distracted by all the myriad of energies that are out there? Or do we move upward through this into enrichment energy? So the storyteller here is the telling of the human story. The gate 56 often are the teachers that are teaching us through story or parable or fables or mythologies. The story of humanity and of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. So it almost begs us to rewrite a story, right? What is the story that we want to be able to, if we go ahead 50 years, what are the stories that we want to tell about the time period we're in, right? When the Earth was at this dangerous place on this edge of global warming disaster. What do we want to tell about that? That maybe out of that edge that we were on, we came together as a group and we made new decisions and we planned on how we could be more resourceful and how we cleaned up the environment, how corporations stepped up to the plate with new technologies and new ways of doing things that helped to clean up our planet. That's a great story to tell. Right now, the story doesn't look quite that positive, although there are plenty of corporations out there doing some really positive things. So on one end, this repressed energy is very sullen energy. It can be grumpy. It can be recalcitrant, and it wants to hold itself to the old way of being. It's, the old story that things aren't happening the way that you're saying them. It's fake news. It's false news, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And the more rebellious side of things are the blabbermouths, right? The overstimulated people who are out there just chattering away and nobody's really listening. So we have to come to a balance of this energy where we are in a state of enrichment, the state of making things better, enriching them, making them more fertile and more abundant. Remember, Venus is at the gate of abundance this week. So the earth and the sun are really speaking to us on a level of what is the story that we want to take and move forward with through our lives. And I love that. This is an interesting week, although gate 60 to me is not necessarily fun energy. In its lowest energy, it can be that limitation that we feel like we live on a planet that's got finite resources. Yet the people that are in control of the resources are often are just chewing up the planet and chewing up these resources as if they're replenishable. Well, they're really not. And, that's sort of like a virus, don't you think? A virus comes into the body and it eats up all the cells and creates havoc in the body. And literally, a virus is a parasite type of beingness. And humans, quite frankly, are sort of a virus at this point in time because we haven't used our consciousness yet to affect really positive things here. But I know that that's the direction that we're moving in. So things like today or this week where we have this energy promotes our moving into that more responsible, resourceful behavior. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Thank you, Camille, by the way, for putting up that website. Debbie says, I will take a reading. I don't know why, but I can no longer post on my iPad when you're on. The option has disappeared, so posting it ahead of time here. So Debbie, I'll put that there for you. Linda would love a card reading. And Linda, I get to choose the deck. Debbie, you didn't say a deck, but usually you like Woto. Living Astrology says up for, that must be you, Mimi. Mimi is my mini me today. So an animal card, Tom. And Debbie said, yay, she found the posting. Marissa, going to have to go soon. So Marissa, I'm going to move you up to the top here, and she would like a Woto. Okay. So any questions about anything that we've chatted about today, go ahead and put that in there. And for the moment, I'm going to start drawing out cards. So Marissa, this is for you because I know you have to go. And then Debbie, I will start yours. So for Marissa. Woo. Marissa. Ooh. The Fates. And she's upside down though. So the Fates are card number 12, or 17, excuse me, which is an 8. The Fates. I know we've had this card. I don't know if this was yours before or if we had it as for everybody, but let's take a look at what that card means. The Fates. Okay, the meaning the essential meaning of the card is fate, karma, acceptance that there are things you cannot change, and knowing what those things are. And she was in protection mode. So we're going to look at the protection message, which says, it is difficult to understand why painful things happen to good people. Fate is a mystery after all. Yet what we do with our circumstances, the way in which we respond to life's challenges, is how we rise up to greet our destiny. Now is one of those times to be aware of your powerlessness to change certain situations and surrender to acceptance. Hang in there. Life will only get better. Act as if you believe that, for the only thing you control right now is your attitude. When you align with the fates, being mindful of what you can and cannot change, serenity will come to you. That's a pretty good card for you. I like that. All right, so that was for you, Marissa. Debbie, I'm going to pull a Woto for you as well. So let's do, I also have the Animal Spirit deck and the Goddess deck. So we can pull cards from one of those. I'm going to pull that for me. Oh, gosh, Debbie, one dropped out for you quickly. It's the Here and Now card. It was upright, card number 32, which is a 5. Here and Now. Let's see what that one means. 32. I opened right up to it as well. That's too funny. The essential meaning is about being fully present in the moment, living one day at a time. And the Oracle's message says, everything happens in the now, in the present. Only this moment counts. You have what it takes to handle anything today if you let go of the need to look into the future or reflect on the past. Be present and notice what is going on right now. This very moment has the potential for you to create miracles in your life. Ah, love it. Love it, love it. That was for you, Debbie. Linda, who gave me the choice of cards. So I'm going to actually go into the Goddess cards for you, Linda. And I'll tell you why. For some reason, this person on the front always, when I look at her, I see your face. I don't know why she looks like maybe she could be a younger you, but there's a light shining out from her that I always saw in you as well. And so let's pull you a Goddess card, as I'm totally making a mess here. So this is for Linda Dennis. And this will be the feminine strength that you need to move through the issues that you're dealing with at the moment. Well, this deck really wants to get messed up here. Meaning, there we go. We get the, oh, you have 2 cards. One is Rhea, R-H-E-A, which represents flow. And she's card number 43, which is a 7. And she's right side up. She's very interesting looking. Right, that blue on her face gives her sort of a warrior look, but the feminine warrior look, but she's flow. And the second one was the Goddess Ellen, which is about patterns. She was upside down, and card number 12, which is a 3. So we have a 7 and a 3, and these are 2 new ones we haven't seen before. And so let me put her upside down so I remember. So you have these 2 cards, and let's look at 43, which was Rhea. Oops, 43, there we go. And this deck has 2 ways of looking at it. Upright is an empowerment message, and upside down is an alignment message. So we're reading the empowerment message here for Rhea. Do you notice how when you're in alignment with the universe, everything in your life seems to flow? The Greek goddess Rhea, whose very name means flow and ease, comes to let you know that you're entering such a time. While the flow state is not permanent for most people, it's a beautiful feeling that allows you to lose yourself in the rhythm. It's as if you're traveling down a magic stream where ideas and insights pour through you from a vast source of information that is gifted to you. The way to ensure you remain in this beautiful energy as long as you can is to observe your life with relaxed attention, listening to the guidance presented to you as you move forward without restraint or fixed ideas. You can enter a flow state anytime you're willing to release your expectations. It requires trust, and the goddess Rhea ensures your boat will never capsize as you move from a slow stream to a rapid river. All right, that's part of your story. Let's go to Ellen, which was card number 12. And she was in alignment, or she's bringing you an alignment message, and the alignment message is about patterns. And it says, familiar patterns show up when you fall asleep at the wheel of your life, or when you expect things to be a certain way out of habit. Whatever conditions are recurring for you right now, you are being invited to see them as an opportunity to move beyond the limits of your expected disappointment or habitual behavior. If you do what you have always done, then you can expect the same patterns to continue. If you don't want to repeat a lesson or find yourself back on the same path with the same people in the same conditions and results, then you must choose to think, do, and be different. Ellen of the Ways offers this alignment task. Make a commitment to change your way and choose to allow for new paths to be explored. It's time to take a look at your need to always wonder if the other shoe will drop and how you remain in familiar territory although you're not content. Ellen will show you the way out. You just need to want to follow. Those are good. Good cards. Okay, so that was for you, Linda. Next is Mimi, and Mimi wanted an animal card. So let's do animals. Okay, and this is for you, Mimi, who I'm very grateful for being behind the scenes these last few days and moderating, as we've had some very interesting people showing up in our world. So Mimi, you've also got a little bit of a story going on, a threefer. On top, it's so weird when that happens, right? On top is the card number 68, which is Wombat Spirit, Be at Home. And it's card number 68, which is a 14, which is a 5, and he was in protection. So Wombat says, be at home. The second card is Stag Spirit. Stag Spirit says, take the lead. Take the lead. He's card number 58, which is the 13, which is a 4. So it was upright. Isn't that a pretty card? Stag. And Swan Spirit, upright, that says, take time for a deep dive, card number 60. And I love that because it sort of mirrors the whole gene key gate that the sun is at. So Swan Spirit, right side up. So let's take a look at Wombat, Be at Home, upside down, card number 68. I don't think we've ever pulled Wombat. Does anybody else remember if we have? And Wombat says, could it be that you're not feeling comfortable in your own skin, thinking that the only way you can be with others is to hide under the protection of a mask or identity you created to protect yourself from getting hurt? This mask or persona is supposed to make you look strong, but it really just robs you of your integrity. Wombat Spirit arrives to nudge you to drop the false masks because it is not others who will hurt you now. It is you who are hurting yourself when you aren't being authentic. It's okay, though. You can course correct if you are willing to be yourself, no matter what comes. Even if others are not in agreement with your authenticity, you are safe with Spirit. And that takes us to Stag Spirit. Stag Spirit says, take the lead. And he is upright. And it says, whether or not you have set your intentions to lead, you may have found yourself suddenly called in to step up to the forefront of your life. Stag Spirit is a reminder that now is the time to heed the call to be sure, strong, and compassionate. Others will look to you, and you have it within you to see through the eyes of Stag Spirit and walk with confidence as you take on the responsibilities that are yours now and model integrity in all that you do and in all your relationships. Be willing to see the best in others so that your compassionate heart keeps you on the right path. Stag Spirit wants you to know that your responsibilities now are to yourself too, for you are learning and developing new skills. The best in you is coming into view as you step forward with strength, knowing that Spirit supports you as you compassionately take the lead. You are a model for transformation now, sharing your experience, your strength, and hope with others so that they may grow and discover their best selves too. What a gift you are. Stay humble and authentic. Walk your talk, for this is how a wise leader leads. And I do believe, Mimi, that you are a Leo, so it has extra meaning for you, I do believe. And then Swan Spirit says, time for a deep dive. And she was also upright. With their graceful long necks, swans are able to reach into the depths. When Swan Spirit arrives, you are called to take a deep dive beyond what is easily available on the surface. You may think you know what is best for you now, but take the plunge into the depths of your awareness, for there is knowledge you are not aware of and great treasures to discover. Deeper understanding awaits you, and a perspective that comes from greater self-knowledge is what you need right now to better understand a situation or relationship. As you come to know yourself more intimately, so too will you come to better know others. So Swan Spirit asks you to go beyond the surface of what is happening between you and others and resist the temptation to judge by superficial appearances. No, there is much deeper potential for loving connections, forgiveness, and mutual understanding. Choose to dive deep into your why, asking the deeper questions of yourself. You are led by the grace of Swan Spirit. Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot. I hope you got all of that. Okay, Mimi, that was for you. And Tom, Woto. Okay, what Woto it is. I buried Woto. Just one moment. Here's Woto for Tom. And Tom, round and round. We've had this card a bit before. Round and round, card number 25, which is a 7, round and round. See the face there in the middle of a shell, it looks like, right? The spiral of evolution, maybe. So card 25. The essential meaning of the card is the spiral quality of events when a lesson isn't quite integrated. Cycles you are challenged to break, revisiting a pattern from a new perspective. And the Oracle's message says, the appearance of this card is a reminder that although it may appear that you've gone backward, the truth is that you are standing at a higher level, looking down into your circumstances. You will learn something, do something better, and break a cycle set up in the past. You actually have a bird's eye view of your initial footprints and can access the wisdom and the lessons learned. Nice. That's a good card. I like that one. All right, and Tom was the last one I put on the list here. Let's see if there was more. Michelle, I would like a card, please. You choose. I'm going to choose Goddess for you, Michelle. Here's a Goddess card for Michelle. And oh, Kathy Shelton. I don't know who you are. Stay away from this dogma. This isn't dogma. Religion is dogma. Because religion tries to hold you to a set of beliefs that someone else has dictated to you. On this show, we're looking at potential. We're looking at possibilities. We're looking at magic. We're looking at the bigger, wider view of the world rather than that narrow view that some people take. Okay, so for you, Miss Michelle, you have 2 cards, both in reverse. Whoop. They were upside down. One is the goddess Skuld, S-K-U-L-D, which represents the future. She's pretty. And again, she was in upside down. And Nike, is it Nike? She's card number 11, and she looks a bit like, you know, Pallas Athena. Her word is ambition. So, but again, in upside down mode. So let's take a look at what these 2 goddesses' messages are for you. And remember, the goddess messages are when they're upright, empowerment, and alignment when they are upside down. So let's see, Skuld was 46. And the alignment message. When you become overly fixated on the future, you rob yourself of the capacity to truly co-create a life that is meaningful and rich. It's because doing so gives your power away to something, some destination that has no substance. It's like you are wandering around in a ghostly place that the goddess Skuld warns you to avoid. Perhaps you've been taught that better things come later, like getting to the wonders of heaven after difficulties on earth. The truth is that you can get back into alignment. So consider this: your life now and how you respond to it are the seeds that will grow into your future. Your alignment task is to remove all the weeds before they choke the life out of your intentions. Bless your life today, find the lessons in the conditions of your world, and be compassionate to yourself and others. We are all learning to find strength in our most vulnerable selves as the world changes rapidly around us. The goddess Skuld is with you all the way and always. Lovely. And then the next one is Nike. And she is card number 38. So I got to go back a ways here. And she was also upside down, Michelle, so it's an alignment message. Are you so determined to win right now that you are running like a racehorse with blinders on her eyes? Beware of unbridled ambition and the strident need to win. You may have become influenced only by your wants and forget to ask yourself if what you want is for the highest good. Perhaps the job you want so badly won't be good for you, or that unavailable partner you're so determined to be with will never love you back. Nike gives you the alignment task now of getting real with yourself. Comparing yourself with others may have triggered jealousy and envy. It's time to step out of this race and recognize that you are where you need to be. Your life is a marathon, not a sprint to your next goal. Your only competition is with yourself. So choose now how you want to feel about your life and who you want to become. Then take baby steps towards your highest intentions. Cheer on others who are successful. Learn from them and help those who are struggling. You can learn from them too. Your place in the world is assured. So remember that however long it takes you to live your life to its fullest is perfect. I love that. Those are great messages. Messages of alignment for you, Michelle. And let's see here. Erica would like a card and would like to set up a reading, so we can do that too for you, Erica. I'm going to pull you a goddess card as well, Erica. And then Suzanne would like one from the goddess deck too. So I'll do 2 more readings. And this one is for Erica. And by the way, all of these decks are by Colette Baron Reed, and they're all available on Amazon or on her website. And I would suggest getting them. They're wonderful. Funny for you, Erica, I pulled Athena. She was upright. Look at her card. Isn't she beautiful? The owl on her shoulder, very similar to the imagery that we were talking about with Pallas, who's also Pallas Athena, one and the same. And it's about knowledge. So if I can get to that book, read you the empowerment message. She is also card number 5. We seem to have a lot of 5 energy today, which is an energy of change and connecting with freedom. So 5 says, Athena, the Greek goddess of intellect and strategy, says, knowledge is power, and you are in a perfect position to gain greater clarity at this time. Your hard work is paying off, and everything you have learned about life has brought you to this moment in time. Your knowledge, logical choices, and intentions are aligned with divine will. Your intellect is keen and your mind is clear. You know what you have to do. Right now, the world is making sense. You don't have to question or debate it. You can take things at face value. If you think it adds up, that's because it does. Have courage, my love. Your most precious dreams are within reach. The goddess Athena will help. Love it. That's awesome. Okay, and who was the other one? Suzanne. Suzanne. Great to see you out there, by the way. We've really missed you. I've missed you. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but I bet everybody else missed you because you always put out our wonderful number things. This card is for you. Also from the goddess deck. And you have a bit of a story as well. Oh my goodness. This can't be, but it's in different directions. These are the same 2 cards I just read for someone else, only now they're in a different, they're set up differently. We have the goddess Nike. She came out first. She is upright. And the goddess Scold. Oh, this was for Michelle too. So Michelle, they were both upside down. For you, the goddess Nike is right side up, and the goddess Scold is upside down. So let's see what they mean for you. Going back. So weird when that happens. 38, Nike, upright. This is an empowerment message for you, Suzanne. The Greek goddess Nike asks you to be present to the beauty and richness discovered in your life so far. You have come this distance, so what are your wins? Celebrating them is key right now to enable you to co-create even more. You live in a world where you may have felt that you were not allowed to celebrate your victories lest you be cut down for being self-centered. Perhaps you were raised in a family that discouraged you from shining in an authentic way. Being successful at the game of life requires you to refuse the message that you are too much or not enough. Your biggest win is to be yourself, accepting yourself exactly as you are, releasing the idea that you are flawed in any way, and expressing yourself with authenticity. This is the true power of the victory goddess Nike expressed through you. The goddess Nike has another message to share. If you've been struggling to move to the next level of your life, working hard and putting the time and effort in, you will soon find you are finally winning. Your determination and commitment to your intentions are manifesting in your life with beautiful results. When you are winning, the world wins too. Just remember to share your bounty. And then the goddess Skuld, 46. And again, in alignment message says, when you become overly fixated on the future, you rob yourself of the capacity to truly co-create a life that is meaningful and rich. It's because doing so gives your power away to something, some destination that has no substance. It's like you are wandering around in a ghostly place that the goddess Skuld warns you to avoid. Perhaps you've been taught that better things come later, like getting to the wonders of heaven after the difficulties on earth. The truth is that you can get back into alignment, so consider this. Your life now and how you respond to it are the seeds that will grow into your future. Your alignment task is to remove all the weeds before they choke the life out of your intentions. Bless your life today, find the lessons in the conditions of your world, and be compassionate to yourself and others. We are all learning to find strength in our most vulnerable selves as the world changes rapidly around us. The goddess Skuld is with you all the way and always. Love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I think that's about all we really have time for today. Janet, can you please pull a card for my friend Heather? I'm feeling goddess. Okay, so let's do that. We'll pull one last card out of the goddess deck. Let me put our goddesses back in there that I took out, and Tom's card back into that deck, and move those out of my way. Okay, so this is for you, Heather. And I'm sorry, I thought your last name said Coughlin or Coffin, but it doesn't matter. This is for you. And welcome to Living Astrology. And I'm going to try to mix this one up really good, although they feel a little squirrely this morning. And, ooh, Spider Woman. Co-creation. Look at her. There's something kind of otherworldly about her, for sure. Spider Woman represents co-creation. Card number 48, which is a 12, which is a 3, which is, again, our number of creation, creativity. And let's see what she says. Spider Woman. And this is an empowerment message, Heather, as she was upright. From the rich red earth, the Navajo goddess Spider Woman rises up to help you weave your dreams into the fabric of reality. She is here to remind you that your vision of the form of your desire is not as important as its essence. Knowing why you want to create something, what motivates you, what inspires you, and what beauty you're dreaming to bring to life is key at this time. The collective dream is being manifested by the co-creative relationship between your imagination and the universe. So call to the best within you and weave your world into being with intentionality and humility. Remember that you can't control the form, accept life on life's terms. When the goddess Spider Woman appears, she heralds the creation of a most beautiful dream that springs to life as if by magic. Stay with it. We need your dream to be added to the web of all creation. Awesome. That's a really wonderful card. One last look at her, Spider Woman. Aha. Okay. Well, that is it for me this morning. I have readings to do today, so I've got to get on my way and get this thing done. I hope everybody has a wonderful day and a beautiful, bright weekend. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I'll see you on Monday. Bye for now.